We're going to talk about the interpreting side of your career and how did you get started, your early days. How did you even know, Maria, that you wanted to be an interpreter?
Truth be told, I knew I wanted to become an interpreter before I even know what an interpreter is, before I even had the notion, the concept of an interpreter. True story, I was 8 years old. I was watching back then, just for you to know, Romania is a former communist country. And there was a time when we didn't have much to watch on television except news and stuff. So at the 8 o'clock news, there were some images from a high-level meeting. And I could see the president of our country at the time sitting under, I still have the picture in my mind. This was like a round table, and we had the Romanian president, and on the other side, there was his Chinese counterpart. And there was this guy in the back, okay, whom I understood with the mind of an 8-year-old, that he was helping them communicate to each other, understand each other, okay? And this is, I swear to God, this is the moment when I said, this is what I want to do in life. And I started, doing like glossaries without even knowing what a glossary was, for God's sake, because I was, 8, 9 years old. So this is when I decided I wanted to become an interpreter without, of course, having the notion, the concept of an interpreter at the time. I knew this is what I wanted to do. And let me mention that my parents have nothing to do with this industry.
Interesting. Okay. You're coming into it all on your own and by something you're observing.
Yeah. But I made that decision as a child and I stuck to it. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know.
Still enjoying it. I'm still committed to it. Still, being really nervous before any event, even if I've been doing this for a lifetime now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got that energy, and by now you can take the energy and put it into the presentation, the interpreting. Very interesting. So then your first assignments, how did you even get started with that?
You have to know that at the time we didn't have LinkedIn, we didn't have all these platforms, we didn't have all these tools. At the time, I was relying on the job ads I could find at the university. After my second year of study at the university, I had to pass some exams in order to be admitted to this special department for translators and interpreters. And from time to time, our professors would provide us, if you will, would recommend us for various interpreting assignments because they were very connected to the business. They were very connected to various translation bureaus and agencies. This was long before the crisis. So money was not an issue. Budget for conferences was not an issue. Quality mattered. And for us, it was like a godsend because just like doctors, you have to practice. It's not just that practice makes perfect, but you cannot learn it otherwise. You have to do it, okay?
Yeah.
So for us as students, as undergraduates, it didn't even matter how much money we would get or stuff like that. What mattered to us was the chance, the opportunity to be in a real life situation where you would practice your skills and put into practice the training that you got in university during all those classes.
Interesting. Okay. And that's actually, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, how that's advice for anybody starting out, you know, getting the experience and experimenting with how do you do all that and the practice and how that's the most important thing when you're starting out, I guess.
I always make this comparison with doctors and physicians because there's no other way to learn how to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't learn to be an interpreter from books. You have to do it in real life situations.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You have to do it like for real in actual circumstances, you know, not just simulated.
Interesting. I love that backstory of how you started in the old days where there were like pieces of paper stapled to a board or something like that.
Yes, wow. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. So these days, wow, it's so much different. Okay.
Of course. I mean, I wouldn't even know. I mean, I would know where to start, but I began my career in a totally, completely different context, if you will.
Yes, very interesting to see that. Yeah.
I mean,
okay, those were the early years. How interesting that you're kind of like born to do this work. You know, some people have this, you know, whatever in the DNA or, you know, the person that grows up as a child meant to do this work and then getting into the first years and all that. Now, I have an interesting group of real life situations you and I were talking about.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, so those who are new to interpretation will find this very interesting, and those that know all about it will find common community here. So your real life situations include due diligence missions, interpreting in a court, assisting during a deposition, wow, press conferences like we were saying, contract negotiations, live broadcasting on TV.
Yeah, so, anything you can think of when you have like 2 or more parties involved who do not speak the same. Let me just mention that back then when I started, not so many people were proficient in English. This has changed. But back then, you really, like, now they tend to do this, to go for it without an interpreter. You know, they think they can handle it, whatever. But back then, not so many people could really master English so as to like have a negotiation, have a meeting without the help of an interpreter. So this was pretty different back then. Okay, but yes, anything you can think of where there's not a common language, where the proficiency is not at the, you know, desired level, if you want. I mean, when you talk about, because there's a specific vocabulary for legal, for marketing, for renewables, for engineering, not to mention healthcare, not to mention. The medical field is considered righteously to be the most difficult one, and this is why it's probably the best paid.
The best paid, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're always going to be
because
healthcare.
We're talking about people's life, people's health, pharmaceuticals. It's probably the most regulated field out there.
Interesting. And so therefore the opportunity, regulation requires interpretation. That's an interesting point. Okay, yeah. So in the notes, when we were talking about this, we're talking about travels. And this is an interesting point too. You've done all these different kind of ranges of interpreting. What kind of travels have you been involved in?
There was a time when I would travel quite often.
Wow.
I mean, accompanying official delegations, Romanian delegations abroad. So it was not just in Bucharest or other parts of Romania, it was also abroad. I've been as an interpreter to Turkey, Serbia, Luxembourg, Denmark, Czech Republic, Serbia, I said Serbia, Germany, Poland, on the top of my head, and the middle, some countries from the Middle East.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. And yeah, that back in the day when travel was much more funded and all that, of course, that would be required. How fun. What a great part of your career. Love to hear about that. So the travels that you've gone through, and then all of the different situations. So then when you go to a conference, okay, so give us a day in the life. How do you prepare for your conference, before, during, and after? There's a lot to it, huh?
Unlike the life of a translator, it's never the same, right? I mean, without stating, I am not stating the obvious here, but obviously you don't like interpret the same thing in the same context every time, right? Every event is unique.
Nice.
Okay, this is not a TV series. Okay,
So
with different character.
Yes.
Yeah, you never know what expects you in terms of the audience, of the speech rhythm and speed, of terminology, which is why it is very important to do your homework prior to the event. Doing your homework as an interpreter involves, you know, getting the materials in due time, getting familiar with the topic. And it's not, I'm not talking about reading so as to remember or learn things by heart from dozens and dozens of pages, which you may get in due time or 1 or 2 days before the conference. I mean, it's like going to an exam. You cannot learn, you know, everything and read like hundreds of pages right before the exam. You're not going to remember anything. What is important for me before a conference is to get a good night rest. I cannot focus if I am tired. That's my #1 thing. I have to be very, you know, rested. If I'm tired, I'm not delivering at the level that I want to deliver, which is why I always, even if I usually go very late, just when I have a conference, when I know there's a conference, the next day I get a good night's sleep. I ask a lot of questions and details about the event, the audience, the speakers, the materials, and it's not, I repeat that, it's not about reading and trying to remember stuff. It's about getting familiar and understanding the topic. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Maybe they're going to talk about conveyors. I need to know what a conveyor is. I need to know what it looks like. I need to know how it works, what it does, and so on. Maybe they'll talk about the European Works Council. What is that? What do they do? What is the purpose? Because the idea is not to throw words from a language into the other and, oh, you figure it out, okay? The idea, I cannot, how can I explain something to you if I don't understand it myself in the first place? So this is about, interpreting is, first of all, and most importantly, about rendering a message. The right message using the right words, the right tone, from a language into the other. And that's why it is extremely important for me to understand the topic so as to be able to render like very quickly ideas, because you don't translate ad literam, you don't translate word for word.
Exactly.
You listen to the speaker, you get the idea, right?
Right.
And you render it into the other language while observing the syntax and all the other language rules.
This is
You know?
critical because you are taking in, you've prepared, found out what you can before the age of the internet, probably some of those. Well, you know,
Yeah.
you had to do some real research.
At the time, we would rely on, you know, hard copies, if any.
Yes, absolutely.
But at least the topic, what are you going to talk about? What is the
Yes.
purpose of this meeting?
Perfect, yes.
Who are these guys? Why are
Who
they
are
there?
they? Absolutely.
What do they want? You know?
And interesting because this is something that cannot be done by anything other than a person who is trained and knows how to respond and taking this in and figuring it out and then explaining. Very human. Very human. I love to hear this whole process. All right, so this whole preparation and then taking in understanding, getting the sleep that you need, and then how do you get yourself emotionally balanced if there's a lot going on?
Well, I have to make, however, the differentiation between on-site and online events these days is almost exclusively, let me put it frankly. It's exclusively online. But during the on-site era, the on-site events era, another thing that I would do is talk to the speakers for like a couple of minutes before, because I need to hear their accent.
Oh, interesting.
Natives or not, I need to hear, I need to hear them speaking.
Yes.
How fast are they talking? Is there an accent that I need to be, you know, attentive to? Getting into, because you were asking me what else do I do? I get my water, I get my coffee because I'm addicted to coffee. I do not function without it.
Sure.
That is my fuel. And I always turn up before, long before the event starts. When I go on site, even if it's a venue that I've been to like 100 times before, I need to be there. You know, plunge literally into the atmosphere, because people are not, you know, the audience is never the same.
Wow.
You know, talk to the organizers, greet them, exchange some words with the guests who I know will be listening to me interpreting, right?
Sure.
As I said, talking to the speaker, you know, like agreeing upon how fast they never they never respect that thing as they go with the flow, and then they start, you know, running and speaking very fast. But at least it's important for me to hear them prior to the event, for me, as I said, to get familiar with the accent.
Interesting.
Even if it's a native.
Sure.
I need to hear them talking.
Interesting.
You know,
and getting like a read.
To get my ear, you know, like
tune.
Custom. Tuned in.
I love it. I love it. Tune in.
Yeah.
Okay. And you get a vibe of the room. How?
I mean, I'm always. Anyway, I'm a very punctual person, but when it comes to conferences, I always show up long before, as I said. I mean, it's like a, how should I put it? It's like a singer getting used to the stage before the concert begins.
Absolutely.
You know, just show up.
Okay. And then boom, it's on. Oh, interesting. I love to hear these details about.
Let's
there's
do
so
this.
much more.
It doesn't work like this. I mean, you don't get to, you know, get off the car. Put on your headphones, get into the
That's right.
Okay, guys, let's do this. What are we talking about? No.
Very nice. Okay. Thanks.
It's like a surgeon getting prepared for, you know, for the surgery, for the operation.
Very nice.
You don't just punch in.
Punch in and punch out. I had kind of a feeling of this whole thing, you know, just trying to see what your life has been like. And to me, it's like it's part intrigue and part adrenaline and part grueling hard work.
A lot of
you know?
adrenaline, even
Wow.
after 20 plus years.
Yes, well, and yeah, well suited to that. You're very well suited. Okay, so now please indulge me in this because I don't know about interpreting. I know there's many of our audience that do, but I don't. And so if there's anybody else like me, please explain the difference between consecutive and simultaneous. How does that work? I don't know.
I mean, I tend to think that everybody, I mean, like it's self-explanatory. The terms are self-explanatory. What don't you get about it?
Yeah.
As the term itself says, consecutive interpreting means that you're the speaker, right?
Yeah.
So you speak, you deliver your speech, and then it's where the negotiation starts, because you could speak for like 2-3 minutes, or you could speak for 10-15 minutes, which is different. Believe me, you would not imagine. I would have never imagined how many words can be spoken per minute until I started doing interpreting and movie translation. You would not believe. I said, oh, I have 1 more minute to translate from the movie, and then it goes on and on. Oh my God, how much talking are they going to do? So in consecutive, basically, I wait for the speaker to finish his or her sentence. Then I start interpreting. So rendering, saying the exact same thing into the other language. While simultaneous interpreting means that I'm interpreting at the same time with the speaker. So the speaker starts talking, and basically people listening to me will hear me talking / interpreting at the same time. So it's real time versus consecutive. So one speaker after another, speaker, interpreter, speaker, interpreter. You normally do consecutive interpreting where you have, like, you know, a small crowd, where there's a delegation, where there's a tete-a-tete, a negotiation. You do consecutive interpreting in a court, because you have to listen to one party, then translate it for the judge, and the other way around, bam, bam, bam. You do that in a due diligence mission, because, you know, there are people sitting at the table, okay, and one party asks a question and the other party answers, and then they have to look, I don't know, to check, I don't know what records, what documents. So it's the speaker, the interpreter, speaker, interpreter. Well, simultaneous is real time interpreting.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like the president shows up and everybody sits and then says a bunch of things, and then they stop, and then you say what they say, and then they'll say something, and then you, okay, interesting. But simultaneous, it's going and going and going and going, and you're saying quickly, as quick as you can.
With simultaneous interpreting, the operative word is speed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cannot keep up the pace, then you don't belong in a booth.
Wow, interesting.
And I've seen this in real life. I mean, they were so overwhelmed that they froze.
Sure.
Because the speaker doesn't care that you're there. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
They don't care.
Oh my gosh.
They do their part.
Yeah.
Okay. It is very important for you to have like an eye contact, but most of the time on the occasion of on-site events, they forget about you. Sometimes you're in the back of the room in your booth, all alone, making desperate signs. Slow down.
No, slow down. Oh my gosh. So what's most difficult?
The literature and the specialists consider consecutive interpreting to be the most difficult one, and I agree, because as I said, the speaker may say, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 sentences, but he may go on for like 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You have to remember it all, or as much as possible. And it's not easy, trust me. especially at the press conference when you have all the cameras on you, well, the journalists who understand bits and parts of it, and they just can't wait. Let's see how much I remembered, you know.
Oh, no. Wow.
It is
Okay.
righteously considered most difficult.
Sure.
And for obvious reasons, because you have to remember the whole speech.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are people, interpreters, who cannot do simultaneous interpreting because speed is the most important thing. And if you cannot keep up the pace with the speaker, and remember, it can be anything. It can be legal. It can be marketing. It can be healthcare. Not to mention healthcare is most, I told you, the most delicate one. They don't have time to repeat, to explain. You either get it or not. And this is not poetry. So you have to get it all. The exact details, the exact names of the medicines, and, you know, figures and percentages with utmost accuracy. I mean, there's no room for, it was a spring day and the sky was somehow blue. Oh, maybe it was a bit purple. No, this is healthcare.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no room whatsoever for error or no.
Absolutely.
It has to be spot on.
Absolutely. So which one is your favorite?
Simultaneous.
I was going to say probably simultaneous, yes, because you're really in the flow.
And yeah. I mean, when you're on site, let's say in a venue, people have the choice to either listen to the simultaneous interpreting or to listen directly to the floor with no headphones on.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you want a super specialization of simultaneous interpreting is live TV interpreting, because there people at home would only hear me.
Yeah.
You know, when they're broadcasting this US elections, of you would see Trump, you would see whoever, but you would listen to me, you'd hear me. So basically the whole thing relies on the interpreter. Okay, they don't get to put a heads on and I'll switch to the speaker, I'll switch to the floor. No, it's just me.
Oh my. So because it's just you, and you mentioned this last time, I think this is an interesting point. Because, for example, when you were interpreting the Trump-Clinton debate, oh my gosh, what a time that was. How nerve-wracking. You were on your own, and if you didn't speak, there was silence. Is that right?
Exactly.
Oh,
that's why there are I don't know about the US, but in Romania, there are very few interpreters in the whole country who can do live TV interpreting, precisely because of that. I mean, the pressure is so high. They'll think that it's the language or the terminology or whatever. No, it's the pressure. Your life. Yeah. Okay. You have, you know, like the producer screaming in the headphones, translate. Don't do any, don't do any pause, nothing. Obviously, they don't have to tell me that because I know the drill.
Exactly. Well, you know, you're seasoned in that, so you're anticipating.
Yeah, I'm seasoned, but but I mean, this is the idea, because when they broadcast the speeches from the US, you would not hear anything. The Romanian audience would only hear me. So if I keep silent, they will not hear a thing. That's why speed is very important. It also involves a bit of an acting, because you cannot interpret like, I don't think Hillary is fit to be president. Yes, this has been, you know, people will fall asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to have some
a bit of an acting. You emphasize with the help of your voice tone. You emphasize certain words that are important for the message. You know, keywords. You modulate your voice. I mean, you're basically like a TV host. I mean, you're not allowed. Your voice cannot be flat. They will fall asleep.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
You don't, yes,
After,
you
you
have
don't
to
want that.
match the energy, yeah. And then if they have a sentence that's not complete, what do you do?
They don't care. I mean, I don't care. Just figure it out. Yeah, of course, this comes with experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite often they don't finish sentences. They start saying something, they switch to another idea,
Sure.
then they overlap. But you have to deliver something coherent. Okay?
Absolutely. You got to fill in the gap.
Because look, the
Yeah.
audience is made up of various people with various backgrounds and levels of education. They don't understand this. I mean, they listen, then they want to understand, you know,
Interesting.
and they want that to make sense,
Mhm.
not be like, what was that?
Yeah.
What did she mean?
No
You
idea
know,
what he's talking about. Yes, very good. Oh,
I
no.
learned this from someone I used to work with in this TV station. Look, if they said he used another word, I know you asked me to mind my language.
Yes.
So yes, I will
You can only
do
delete
that.
so much.
So basically the idea was, and I will paraphrase this, if the sentence is not great, you will rephrase it so as to make sense,
Sure.
you know, for the audience. And
Yeah.
of course, this goes without saying, without deviating from the original message, right? I mean, you will not make up stories.
Yeah. Sure,
but,
sure. It's to the,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
to the point, but yeah, very.
Not
That
everyone was born to be a speaker.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody can. So, okay, great. So talking about all of that's been going on through the years. Now, what about the future? What do you see? You know, what's going to happen after COVID era, whenever?
After COVID, well, in my opinion, and I was talking about this recently with a client of mine from the US, online remote simultaneous interpreting is not going anywhere.
Okay.
It's here to stay, even if we come back to the on-site events, because there are events like ones I was telling you about. So I have this customer from Romania organizing this very high level, very VIP type of events, and they are all on site because it is the nature of this event that requires on-site presence. You know, it very much relies on the human interaction between the speaker and people in the room. It's also an award gala. So it's not just about getting the speeches and the jokes that they would make, and they do, believe me. You would not believe how many jokes I had to interpret. So it's not just about that. It's not just about the speech, the message. It's also about the interaction, the atmosphere, right?
Sure.
So there are certain types of events that needs to be held on site. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense if you want, you know, because it's like singing alone in the bathroom versus performing on a stage. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, very good. Okay.
But as I said, coming back to your question, remote interpreting is not going anywhere. It's here to stay.
Yeah, it's been proven.
Because it's just think about it. The customer no longer has to pay for me traveling to whatever country, accommodation, per diem, meals, and so on. I connect to the platform, whichever platform that may be, right? I do the sound check and boom, action.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's a very good.
Yeah, regardless of the time zone.
Sure.
I mean, it can be anywhere.
Nice. Yeah. So the future will be more.
The future looks bright. I mean, interpreting, remote interpreting is not going anywhere. Interpreters are not going to be replaced by any robots whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. And for all the reasons that we've said.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. Because there's so much humanness needs to be.
I mean, I told you, I will be long gone if this changes, but take my word on that. Being an interpreter is about being human. Okay, no machine will ever replace that, and you can quote me on that.
Interesting, and I have quoted you on that, and I will continue to, because I think
I stick to it.
Yeah, and there's a difference. We've said this before. There's a difference between something that's translated, a bulk project that has a high volume, and maybe a public service chat that's, you know, in a website, and it's just a little bot and it can do that kind of thing. But this is talking to a person. The stakes are high. The understanding and the weird words that come through, you have to be on point. And
I cannot even begin to tell you how different this is. Interpreting, you know, for government / public sector, interpreting for my pharmaceutical company, interpreting for, I don't know, in a court.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
In a due diligence mission.
Sure.
Assisting a delegation with the negotiation of a contract, whatever. I cannot begin to explain how different all this type of events are. Each and every one of them with their peculiarities, requirements, challenges, and so on. That's why it's every time it's unique. It's never the same. You never interpret. You're never in the exact same setting with the exact same people, same speech, and so on. It's always different, and you don't know what it's gonna be, because this is life.
Exactly. Okay. Very unpredictable. Okay.
I mean, it's not like, oh, no, this conference did not go so well. Let's have a retake.
Yeah. And no, it's going. You're on. All right.
It's out there.
Okay. So Maria, we have some questions coming up for Q&A. All right. And it's in the chat. We have a lot of lots of comments in the chat. Love it, love it. And so let's take a look. We're gonna, and we're going long, by the way. Can you still keep going another 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Great. Yeah. All right. So anybody that needs to drop off, that's totally fine. We will have this in the recording. All right. So let's get into, let's see now. Eugenia says a question. What technology do you use for that remote part of the interpretation?
It's always the platform of the choice of the customer. I mean, they will tell you in due time what platform they use. If need be, you do like a short training. Obviously, you do a sound check before the event starts. But this is not my choice. This is the customer's choice. They will communicate to me what platform they're using. Yes. You do need to be a big tech savvy, because this is not like on-site events when you have like the sound engineer next to you and you can make him a sign. It's like a sign language, you know?
Interesting. Yeah.
So he can easily jump in and help you if need be. You're on your own. I mean, okay, you have a moderator, but you're on your own. So it is the platform, whatever platform the customers wants, you know, to have their event on.
They're hosting.
There are so many choices nowadays.
I mean, absolutely, it's
great. It's their choice.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay.
It's like telling me you have to be at the Hilton Hotel tomorrow morning for this event, and I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say, oh, but I prefer Phoenicia or I prefer the Marriott Hotel. Okay.
Absolutely. You get what they're giving you. Yes. Very good. All right. So yeah, and then Catherine, thanks for your note. Incredible that one of the interpreters' tasks is to make any speaker, even the most boring ones, sound good. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yes. Because they'll never say, oh, what a bad speaker he was. They'll always
Exactly.
judge the interpreter.
You're just there and you're
I mean,
feeding
if
it
the
out.
event goes
Yeah.
fine, they take it
Yeah.
for granted. I'm sorry, but this is the truth in
Yeah.
most cases. Not all of them. I
Yeah.
have to be honest about it. But for most cases, they take it for granted because they don't know what it implies. They think it's like, you have a prompter or something and you're reading.
Oh yeah, there's no way. It's so
No, they'll never say, oh, that speaker.
Yeah.
He simply read some hundreds of pages without making a break.
Oh my
That
gosh.
they'll always judge they'll always assess
Yes,
the event
I'm
by
sure.
the interpreter
Yeah,
performance. This is a fact.
that's a part of the deal. All right.
They don't care about the organizational details or anything about the speakers. No.
Yeah.
What they leave with is the impression made by the interpreter during that event.
Oh, fascinating.
If they had to listen to simultaneous interpreting.
Sure. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
It is.
So interesting question from Rodion. It's asking, ever feel tempted to mix a bit of your personal attitude in? I'll bet you have a little bit of that.
I always do that. And I cannot help it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's why these people come back to me. Because as I told you, I mean, it's not like I perform brain surgery and it's like, 10 people in the whole universe who can do that.
Yeah.
When you have an event, you always think of the interpreter is a very important part of that event.
Absolutely.
And they can choose, right?
Yeah.
They can choose.
Exactly.
So if they choose me in favor of another interpreter, it's because they have some reasons. And personality and attitude is definitely on the list.
I would much rather hear you giving me the interpretation of Donald Trump than anything else. All right. Yeah, so thanks for that answer. Okay, so then let's see. Shaima, great discussion. Yeah, hi Shaima. And she says, how do you handle stress before the assignment? She says, I remember the helicopter photo. I'm sure you'll do great anyways.
Look, I'm a mess before the conference. I'm a mess. Even after 21, 22 years, I'm thirsty, I'm tired, I'm sleepy.
Doesn't matter.
The minute I start interpreting, this is the truth. I turn into a completely different person.
Sure.
I mean, I love it so much that it doesn't matter anymore if I'm tired or if I had a bad day or some personal issues going on in my life or whatever. The minute they say action, I transform completely. I mean, it is exhausting, but that's why I said adrenaline is a big part of it. It gives me energy because people rely on you during that time, and it's a great feeling to know that you're useful, to know that you helped that customer get maybe a second assignment from that beneficiary, from that company.
Nice.
Because oh no, I mean, I liked how she interpreted. Yes, we'll do this again with you. Because during this events, you're a team with the customer and one providing, the service, and the beneficiary will take it as a whole, as a package.
Yes. Oh, very interesting. Yeah. So you're part of.
So yes, it's definitely I'm not your usual standard interpreter. Never have been.
Well, that's what we love about you. All right. Oh, and here's Prachi. Hi, Prachi. This is a leading question. I can tell there's something in this, and we know what point you're getting to. Prachi's question, is being bilingual enough to be an interpreter?
Absolutely not.
No way, right?
No. Speaking a foreign language does not make you an interpreter. That's why, there's a school for that. Because there are techniques, there are courses that you need to attend. there's a whole process, as I said, and I'm going to repeat that as often as needed. It's not about taking words from one language into another. It is so much more complex than that. You have different languages, different structures, different rules, different grammar, everything, right? Then there's the localization involved. Then there's the difference, the cultural differences. There's a whole bunch of stuff involved in interpreting. Language, as I said, terminology is the least of my concerns.
Interesting, very interesting. And who knew?
So no, to the point, no. It takes professional training, it takes practice. And I strongly believe, and I have always said that you have to be born for this. It's a calling. This is not a job that you choose just to make money.
Sure.
It won't take you far.
Yeah,
you know,
a desire for money. It has to be.
No. It has to come because people feel it.
Yes.
People feel it.
Interesting.
If you do it like, yeah, I have this job of interpreting assignment for 2 hours. Okay, then I'll be free afterwards. They feel it. They feel when you interpret just for the sake of it, which is something I have never done, by the way. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm still in the business.
Yes. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so interesting. So now here's a question. Let's see, Jose. Ooh, this is a good one. What do you do in a freeze situation? Has that happened to you? And what are your strategies?
Yeah, not to me, because no, not to me. I have like an embedded feature.
Sure.
That won't let me freeze. But I've been in my early years in a couple of times when my booth partner simply froze. She just stopped. She simply stopped talking, stopped interpreting. So I had to take over. No, because this is in my DNA. I mean, it's something there. It's written. It's in my code. It's embedded. It's an embedded feature that cannot be uninstalled, disabled. And my television experience has helped a lot. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Because when you're live, you're not allowed to freeze, to hesitate. Sure. You just go for it. You're an automatic pilot.
Absolutely.
So it has never happened to me, but I've seen it happening, and I had to take over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the pressure is high, the speed.
Yeah.
That's why I said that for simultaneous interpreting, speed is the operative word. If you cannot keep up the pace, you'll never be able to do that job.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't work from the beginning, it will never work.
Absolutely.
Not everybody belongs in a booth.
Absolutely.
With all due respect, of course.
But that's good to know. I mean, to know what you're getting into. I've got a couple more questions, but I noticed that your room light is fading. I see it's evening in Romania. Would you take just a minute do you have lights? There we go. Ah, thank you. All right. Okay, this is so fun. And everybody who realized this is like a free webinar because we're getting these, real life situations and questions. So thanks everybody. Now another question coming in. Let me see, Stefan. For sim, when you work in tandem with another interpreter, how do you handle the handoffs? That's a good question. Like say in a Zoom.
Yeah, you practiced that before. I mean, it's basically a matter of clicking a button, and then the other interpreter will get the message, the notification that you want to hand over. Obviously, you finish your sentence. You do not just drop it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's good that you do practice a little bit to get kind of used to the pace.
Yeah, that's why I said that you need to be a bit tech savvy, because it's live. Mm-hmm. So you really need to master, if you will, this platform to know which, not to push the wrong buttons there.
Oh,
it's basically, yeah, it's like a virtual booth, simultaneous interpreting booth, like a virtual simultaneous interpreting equipment.
Sure.
You know,
Interesting.
but
Yeah.
you have to, yeah, there may be differences from one platform to another, so you really have to be like familiar, at least familiar with it.
Absolutely. And
It's just a matter of, you know, like pushing a button virtually, so as to hand over to the other interpreter after finishing the sentence.
Yes, finish your sentence, please. And yes, Stefan is saying in Zoom, we have switched to making sure everyone is on WhatsApp so we don't have to rely on the client letting the interpreters communicate. A lot of pieces to the remote simultaneous. So if you have control of that situation, but you've already kind of orchestrated how that's going to go, hopefully, when you hand off to some degree, and hopefully they can keep up. All right.
Yeah, you do the handover, and even if, let's say, it's not your turn, the other interpreter may have like issues or whatever. So you need to be prepared at any time to take over.
Absolutely.
Because you have people listening from all these countries, and they don't care. This is your internal cuisine.
Oh man, yeah, there's so much going on. Yeah, and very high stakes. Well, we're almost out of time. If anybody has any final questions, please type in the Q&A or in the chat. And then anything we haven't covered, do feel free to, oh, thanks everybody giving some really great kudos. Everybody's thanking you, Maria, for this wonderful information and great session. You're always so fun. And just to tell everybody, so this has been part of the ongoing series Localization Explained. My name is Marina Grayson-Farrell. I'm a localization consultant, but I love to talk to everybody in translation, interpretation, localization, everything in between. Language people are amazing, and the world's friends that we are, it just makes everything better. So today's session has been a day in the life of a high-level interpreter. And then we're going to have more interesting conversations. But Maria, you're my favorite of all time. We always have a great time. So everybody look out for this lady. She's going to be doing some great things. And I'm hoping someday for a movie deal to see coming to you.
Me too.
Wouldn't this be great to have your life? Yes, in this kind of work. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Let the universe work for us.
Very nice. It's very compelling.
I will relocate to the US if this happens.
There you go. LA's not too far from here.
I'm coming over.
Come on over. I'll see what I can do to make those deals happen. But I would love to see, and I know everybody in the audience, wouldn't you love to see a movie about
a Netflix original series?
Yes. Oh, I love it.
How cool would that be? After translating like hundreds of minutes for Netflix, to have my own TV series.
Oh my gosh, that's karma.
Netflix original series. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I think that's all we have time. Oh, Catherine says, yes, please. So that's all we have time for. And again, any other questions? This event is still posted on LinkedIn. Put your questions in there, and Maria and I'll work together to get those questions answered. So everybody take care. Thank you, Maria. You're so awesome. And everybody, we'll see you another time soon. All right. See you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Prachi, everybody. Stefan, hello. See you guys.